Febrero y inicios de marzo para el ministerio.
February and the beginning of March are important months for us at the Ministry of Education. It's the time when we ensure conditions are optimal for schools in Peru to reopen. This year, the reopening date was set for March 16th.
En el Consejo de Ministros y de manera unánime, un decreto supremo que declara el estado de emergencia nacional.
As it turned out, that was around the same time the coronavirus national emergency was declared.
At that time, I was the presenter on TV Peru's morning news program. Our focus was to communicate the magnitude of the pandemic. Then, one day, I got a call from the chairman of the network. He told me schools were being shut, and so the Education Ministry had asked TV Peru to produce a dedicated education from home program, Aprendo en Casa. Then he said, "I'm calling you because you're going to be one of the presenters." Well, since I'm a woman who likes a challenge, I said, "Let's do it."
I can't recall a situation before this in which private and public media have come together for the shared cause of education.
Hola, familias de nuestro querido país.
Most media outlets have a sense of public service. If they don't, then they're making poor use of their broadcasting license.
These days, school days in Peru are different. From 8:30 a.m. until noon, and then again from 2 p.m. till 6, classes are taught via the state broadcaster, Radio TV Peru. Private media outlets have been brought in on the lockdown learning campaign as well. They air some of the classes on their channels. The coordinated approach has been key to getting the widest reach across the country.
Hola Fabián, ¿cómo estás?
The program Aprendo en Casa, or I Learn at Home, has suddenly become the centerpiece in what is a technology-dependent system of homeschooling the kids.
Utilizamos WhatsApp, utilizamos Inbox, utilizamos Zoom.
My students and I, we use WhatsApp, Inbox, Zoom, email, and of course Aprendo en Casa, which is the basis for everything. Every day I tell my students to watch the daily episode on TV and then to read the material associated with that module. After that, I post assignments on Facebook, as well as on our WhatsApp group. The children can ask me questions via email, or sometimes they'll just call me on WhatsApp or Zoom, and we can drill down into the details.
Y hacer precisiones.
Yo recibo los audios de Aprendo en Casa en el idioma quechua.
I receive audio clips of Aprendo en Casa in Quechua, which is the language we speak here in this area of Peru. I have audio clips sent to me because many of my students can't receive the radio signal in their homes. I get the clips via WhatsApp, I listen to them, and then I share the information with my students over phone calls, text messages, WhatsApp for those who have it, and I also film some short videos of lessons for my students.
Para poder enviarles a mis alumnos.
Peru has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. The country's lockdown was swift and strict, but case numbers have soared. Amidst all the bad news, Aprendo en Casa looks like a broadcasting experiment gone right.
Hola, hola, soy Paola Moreno. Bienvenidas y bienvenidos a Aprendo en Casa, una iniciativa del Ministerio de Educación.
Coordinated by the Ministry of Education, the program doesn't aim to replicate the classic school day. That would be impossible. Instead, wider topics and issues are chosen to stimulate discussion, reflection, and to build knowledge in core subjects like language.
Y ahora sí, veremos los videos sobre textos literarios, instructivos y persuasivos.
Mathematics.
Mediante la división podemos saber cuántos grupos se obtienen de una cantidad específica.
And science.
En el programa de hoy aprenderemos que podremos resolver problemas con la ayuda de la ciencia.
Bueno, tenemos algunas ventajas y estamos en un formato televisivo. We have certain advantages in delivering education through TV. We have a whole team behind us, producers, directors, lighting experts. It's their job to make things appealing, to keep children stimulated through the music, images and backgrounds.
La música, de las imágenes, de los fondos.
We work very closely with a teaching coach. He instructs me about how to communicate with children.
Escuchen lo que dice mi libro sobre los sentidos. Los animales tienen un sentido del olfato más poderoso que los humanos.
Techniques are crucial. and it helps me to work with the teaching expert.
¿Por dónde debo de ir?
Watching the TV broadcasts, I'm struck by how dynamic the presenters are.
Estoy muy feliz por este programa. ¿Qué aventuras nos esperan hoy? Yo estoy muy triste porque solo dura 30 minutos y quisiera que durara más. Yo tengo mucho miedo. ¿Podré entender todo lo que hablaremos hoy?
Les presento mi pizarra mágica.
TV has lots of resources and they're making the most of them. A teacher in a classroom does not have such resources. Of course, if I had them, I'd use them gladly.
Pero si yo tuviera todos esos elementos, pues lo haría encantado.
Not all the students are getting the same learning opportunities. The social and economic inequalities in Peru are vast. Nearly 21% of the population lives in poverty, mostly outside the cities, in rural Peru, where internet access is spotty. There are mountainous villages and towns that even radio and terrestrial TV signals cannot reach. And those aren't the only considerations.
Nowadays, there are a lot of discussions about the phenomenon of education poverty. Our task was to provide educational material for Spanish-speaking students, non-Spanish speakers, and students with disabilities. The other issue we had to consider is that we have gaps. Gaps in digital connectivity, gaps in access to resources. This is why we designed Aprendo en Casa across different types of media. Although the internet can probably provide a more complete experience, we wanted to serve the largest number of students and decided we must include television and radio.
Mis alumnos tampoco cuentan.
The children I teach have nowhere near the same resources that children in cities have. For example, when it rains or there are changes in the weather, the TV, radio, and internet signals, which are already very weak, just stop working altogether. The children send me images of their screens. Miss, this is what's coming up. I can't connect. What do? I feel powerless because I don't know what to do. I call them, try to explain the lesson through phone calls or messages, but there's always a void left.
Como que siempre queda un vacío.
As the country looks to ease its lockdown, Peruvians await news of a back-to-school date. Officials are being cautious. It could be June, they say, or September. But even when that day comes, schools are unlikely to return to their pre-pandemic ways. Like the countless numbers of employees around the world who now realize they can work from home, Peruvians now know that they can, to a great extent, learn from home. Aprendo en Casa, aspects of it at least, is probably here to stay.
Sí, mira. Look,
I think that the public and private broadcasters are a powerful resource in an emergency situation like this one. But my personal opinion is that the education in Peru is an embarrassment. Families that don't have the resources for private education or who aren't lucky enough to live in a region with good public education are denied opportunities. The media are great in times of a global pandemic, but they cannot be seen as the solution by our government.
I think now with Aprendo en Casa, we're at the start of a new process. We have an opportunity to take a fresh look at education. What should children really be learning at school? What about what we teach them through socialization? How much should they be learning from the internet? We have a great chance to create the kind of society we aspire to. But to get there, we need to work from the ground up. And society's foundations are its children.
Y la base de la sociedad son nuestros niños.